listener production.
Hello, happy Friday. I'm Sacha Barbour Gatt, and this is The Briefing. The issue of nepo babies in Hollywood is back in the spotlight this week after a questionable performance by North West in a major Lion King concert.
I think it's because she's a Kardashian. I think she's talentless and a Kardashian. And, they are the family that people love to hate.
It makes sense that the offspring of well-connected people end up well-connected themselves. But what about the people missing out on roles or opportunities because they weren't born into a famous family? And are things starting to change as we hold celebrities to higher standards than we ever have before? My incredibly fun chat with Richard Reid coming up after the headlines. First, though, let's talk the day's biggest news with Katrina Blowers. It is Friday, May 31st.
Hey everyone, well, we were talking yesterday about heat waves in India and the forecast for a hot Euro summer ahead. Well, here in Australia, you might want to hold off on buying a new coat this winter. Well, it might not be quite that bad, but the season is expected to be warmer than normal. The Bureau of Meteorology has released its 3-month forecast predicting an 80% chance that we're going to see above average temperatures for the whole country. Every capital city in Australia's states and territories is 4 times as likely to experience days and nights that are in the highest 20% of historical temperatures. Normally that would make me feel kind of happy, Sacha, because I'm not a winter person, but this is kind of concerning.
Yeah, and you might remember last winter was the warmest since record keeping began in 1910. Temps were 1.53 degrees above the long-term average. And meantime, when we look at it from a global perspective, 2024 is on track to being the hottest year ever recorded, taking 2023's crown. So I had the thought, Katrina, when the Bureau releases its outlooks, it says, a warmer than normal winter expected or a warmer than normal autumn or spring or summer. When are we going to stop saying warmer than normal? Because it does feel like this is becoming the norm. And I understand it's based on averages and mean temperatures and all of that. But this does feel like the new normal is everything's warmer every season, every month. We're seeing these warmer temperatures. And as you mentioned, that heat wave in Delhi is still continuing. We saw temperatures past 50 degrees there. So it does feel like the whole globe is just staying warm and it's not coming down. The jury for Donald Trump's hush money trial is well into day 2 of deliberations and has asked to rehear testimony from key witnesses and get clarity on instructions. We have also heard from the former president himself, who showed up to the courthouse earlier.
The whole world is watching, and it's a very sad day for New York. I've gone through 2 of these trials already. With the same kind of a judge. It's all worked. It's all rigged. The whole thing, the whole system is rigged.
The 7-man, 5-woman panel needs to decide if Trump is guilty of any of the 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. There is no limit on how long they can take to deliberate, but the jury does need to be unanimous.
Yeah, and if Trump couldn't make any more headlines, an ex-Apprentice producer has claimed that Trump allegedly used a racial slur for a black contestant. So according to the producer who's written an essay that's appeared in an online magazine, Trump said, quote, "Would America buy a N-word winning?" Now, this came about when questioning whether a black contestant should win the debut season of The Apprentice back in 2004. Now, during this time in production, the show was called Meet the Billionaire. Trump's alleged racist remarks were said to remain unquestioned at the production meetings. And the person who wrote this essay says, I kind of wish that not only had I questioned it, but I'd quit the show. Last week, interestingly, Trump addressed a rally in New York's Bronx. The audience was about a quarter black or Hispanic, and it's a voting bloc that historically supports the Democrats. So that's a voting bloc Trump really needs to win over. So this essay's come out not at a great time. Sacha, the producer, really goes to town on Trump in this essay, accusing him of being sexist, saying he ordered a female camera operator out of a lift for being too heavy. And he also claimed that Trump was bragging about having a secret house Melania didn't know about, where he'd meet up with his women on the side.
We've heard similar sort of claims or allegations against Trump. They always seem to surface in an election year as things start to heat up. It's worth noting Trump's team has called it a completely fabricated story, but that's not really a surprise either, is it?
A Labor MP who broke ranks with the government to label Israel's actions in Gaza a genocide has now resigned from her two parliamentary foreign affairs committees. The two committees scrutinise government policy in defence and foreign affairs. Fatima Payman made the statement earlier this month, also using the term, quote, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, which is seen by some as in opposition to a two-state solution.
Yeah, at the time, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese labelled her comments inappropriate. It's unclear, Katrina, whether she has been asked to stand down or whether she made the decision based on her own beliefs and what she feels comfortable doing. She was starting to talk about it again on X, tweeting about her thoughts on whether Israel was carrying out a genocide. So that has come in the wake of that. Hey, look, I also wanted to bring up a social media post doing the rounds at the moment in relation to the war in Gaza. It's this All Eyes on Rafah AI-generated image. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but it's been shared over 47 million times now. We've seen a lot of celebrities jump on the bandwagon, Dua Lipa, Lewis Hamilton, Gigi and Bella Hadid. The question that's coming up a lot is whether it's performative. And you might remember after George Floyd's death and the Black Lives Matter protests that broke out across the world in response to that, everyone was posting black squares on their Instagram pages for Blackout Tuesday. And the same question came up well, how effective is social media activism? Does it make you feel good because you've done something that is very easy to do? Or is it showing that, you know, especially if it's in relation to an oppressed community, is it showing solidarity? It's a really interesting conversation. I wanted to bring it up because we were all talking about it in the office yesterday and we couldn't land on an answer.
Yeah, it is it's a vexed question and it's one that I've seen absolutely everywhere and I think, you know, a really important conversation to have.
And let's finish off on something very, very light. I don't know if it's bright, but it is light. It's quite funny. A US man has landed himself in jail after dialing into his own virtual court hearing while driving on a suspended license. So let me clarify. Corey Harris was facing a judge in Michigan on a charge that was for driving while suspended. And the whole thing was uploaded to the judge's YouTube. And let's have a listen to how it all played out.
Just give me 1 second. I'm parking right now.
Okay, so maybe I don't understand something. This is a driving while license suspended?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And he was just driving, and he didn't have a license.
As with the charges, Your Honor, yes.
No, I'm looking at his record. He doesn't have a license. He's suspended, and he's just driving.
That is correct, Your Honor.
I don't even know why he would do that.
Look on his face. Whoops. You've got to watch this video, guys. Imagine dialing in to your own court hearing about a suspended license and you're on, it's kind of like Zoom and you're behind the wheel of your car going, sorry, Your Honor, I'm just pulling in. County Judge Cedric Simpson went on to issue a warrant for Harris's arrest. No surprise, telling the somehow shocked man to turn himself into police by the end of the day. I wonder if he did.
Yeah, well, he, as you said, he looked shocked. So at first when I read this headline, I thought, oh, he's just being like a bit of I don't care about the law. I'm going to dial into my court hearing driving. But when you watch the footage, this guy looks devastated, but also really surprised that it has happened. It is quite an amusing watch. I almost feel bad for him because maybe he didn't understand the charges properly and he's dialed in. But my other question, right, is that that's not a very good look to dial into a court hearing on your phone on Zoom while driving. Whatever the court hearing was for, surely that's not a good look to the judge.
I also think that whatever charges this guy has against him, it does not compare to the public shaming that has now occurred with this judge issuing the footage on YouTube. So, don't know about that either.
Yeah, I think he might live to regret that decision. Katrina, thanks so much for being here for the headlines. Have a lovely weekend. Next up, we are talking Nepo babies with gossip guru Richard Reid. This week, North West, the 10-year-old daughter of Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, made her stage debut. Now, this wasn't at a school play like the rite of passage most kids her age would go through. It was at the Hollywood Bowl for a 30th anniversary special concert honouring The Lion King. North starred as Simba, and the reviews were, to put it mildly, pretty mixed. But why don't you make up your own mind?
I'm gonna be the main event, but no king was before. I'm rushing up, I'm looking down, I'm working on my role. Inspiring thing. Oh, I just can't wait.
Yeah, this has sparked once again public discourse around Nepo babies. That is, the children of successful parents making it big in the same industry as their folks. And who better to talk about it with than Richard Reid? He's a veteran entertainment reporter and gossip guru. Richard, welcome to the briefing. Look, as I said, the discourse around Nepo babies isn't anything new, but the North West saga has got people really fired up. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think justifiably so. I mean, to put it in really intellectual, smart person terms, Northwest sucks. She was just not good at all. I think everyone there had their breath held. You could kind of feel it that they wanted her to be good. But that first note came out of her mouth and boom, it was a clunker and it didn't get any better than that.
Yeah, you're so right. And I think that's why I have gotten a bit fired up about this because, as I said, we've talked about Nepo babies before, but I think there's this argument that, well, if they're good at what they do, then who are we to say that they shouldn't get that opportunity? But in this case, kids had been auditioning for this role. One of the mothers actually came out and said, my child got really far into the process, and then Northwest just swoops in.
Yeah, oh yeah, swoops in is right. You know, I sniffed around some people at the Hollywood Bowl, and apparently the producer of this big event, the Lion King extravaganza, is the same producer of the Kardashians TV show. So there was a little bit of a conversation. They said, well, if your daughter can carry a note, she is in, no questions asked. And would you mind bringing a TV crew so maybe the show would feature on an episode of the Kardashians? And while you're at it, if we can get a little extra publicity because Northwest is one of the top line stars, so be it. So I don't even understand why they held auditions.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it had been planned a little bit in that case. And I suppose what you've just described there is nepotism at its finest, where it's you know, all of these tiny little moving parts that it's not as simple as it just being, oh, I'm the daughter of a famous actress. It's production companies and directors and producers and all of these little moving parts that end up with people getting these huge roles. Now, you know, I think Northwest has copped plenty of criticism, but there are plenty of other Nepo baby examples. Why don't you talk us through some?
Okay, well, let's talk about some OGs, just really quick, a couple of top liners. The OG, of course, the biggest one is Gwyneth Paltrow. She's like the original OG, two famous parents. You know who her godfather is, right?
No, I don't.
Steven Spielberg, you may have heard of him. So she was definitely ushered in, you know, with very, very open hands. You know, and then you have, what do you think, Miley Cyrus? Was she a Nepo baby?
Well, Billy Ray, I mean...
Billy Ray Cyrus?
Yeah, he was a one-hit wonder, but he still had those connections.
Yeah. Lily Collins, what do you think of Lily Collins?
Who's her parents? I don't even know.
Oh, Phil Collins. Hello. Something's in the air tonight.
Sorry. My bad. I should have known that one.
That's okay. Oh, I'm telling you. No, that's fine. Hey, I'm sure she would prefer you didn't know her father was Phil Collins. But, you know, some of the real recent ones, okay, you have Hailey Bieber, formerly known as you know who.
Hailey Baldwin.
Baldwin, she's from the Baldwin clan. You know, her dad was lesser known, Stephen Baldwin, you know, the usual suspects, but she really rode in on that name. The thing I like about Hailey is that she doesn't pretend to be anything she's not. You know, she was a pretty girl. She was a great model. She did some MTV, you know, hosting, blah, blah, blah. You know what? She is who she is. She's not pretending to be a superstar, have a great singing voice, anything. This brings us to my next examples, two of the most overrated Nepo babies ever, and that would be the children of a Jada and a Will Smith, Jaden and Willow Smith. I definitely have an opinion on this one, girl.
Really? You think, because, okay, so my first exposure to Jaden Smith was in The Pursuit of Happiness, the 2006 film. Will Smith plays his dad. Will Smith is obviously his dad in real life. I thought Jaden was excellent in that movie.
You know, it's really easy, I think, for children to be good in movies because they're essentially being themselves. Later on, when they, you know, have to start acting, you know, Karate Kid, what was that horrible movie, After Earth, the one they did together that really kind of sabotaged Jaden's acting career. Jaden has even told people in the industry, yeah, I know I'm not a great actor. Why don't I try singing? He tried singing for a while. You know, he did open for a lot of legitimate bands. He opened for his buddy Justin Bieber, but he's on an extended break right now. I think that, you know, even for him, I think the glass ceiling, you know, of those who are really talented break through. And I just don't think he did it, even with all the influence of his parents. I honestly also think that the Will Smith Oscar scandal affected both he and Willow to a great extent. I had a quick listen to Willow's albums, and I got to tell you, I couldn't get past, I whipped my hair back and forth. That was a highlight for me, and that was a million years ago. You know, and get this, I want to tell you really quick, Willow has said in an interview, yeah, there's no denying I'm a Nepo baby. I did have a hand in, you know, my parents helped me, but her argument is, but I'm black, and that's the biggest obstacle there is. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm gay, I'm old. Isn't that an obstacle? I guess, you know, we all have our cross to bear. And, you know, good for you, Willow. I appreciate you throwing that into the mix.
We were talking before we hit record, and you are in defense of Nepo babies, even though you admit some are talentless, as you've just taken us through with Jaden and Willow. But you think fair enough when it comes to Nepo babies getting opportunities?
I absolutely do. I think when they're talented, thank you for clarifying that. Yes, when they're talented, I think, you know, you have, you know, the ones I love. I love Maya Hawke, who's, you know, the daughter of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman. So good. She really revitalized, I think, Stranger Things. You know, she even has come out and said, you know, yeah, no, I'm a Nepo baby, but I feel like an imposter too. But she seems very grounded, down to earth. She's grateful. A lot of them just don't feel grateful to me, like they deserve that handout and the hand up. I think another OG, Kate Hudson, you know, I think she knows who she is, Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell's daughter. You know, that's a little bit old school, but, you know, I think if they do have talent, it's great. But if they don't, you know, be a one-hit wonder. Do your thing and then go away.
I think the problem with Nepo babies, though, and as you said, Jaden Smith's gone, well, I'm taking a break. They don't necessarily know how to do anything else. It's not like they've gone, well, I'm speaking very generally, of course, but we're talking about these big Hollywood stars' children. It's not like they've gone to uni or they've studied anything. They kind of do what they can do. And in this case, it's getting into Hollywood, getting into singing, getting into movies or TV shows. I wanted to ask you, because you do have such an in-depth understanding of Hollywood, how hard is it for a nobody to make it in Hollywood?
Oh, well, unless you're Australian, which is always a one-way ticket to Successville in America. We love our Australians, but I digress. It is so hard to just get your foot in the door. You know, it's always a combination of things. Usually If you're incredibly beautiful, that opens a lot of doors. But if you're just a real character actor, I would think it'd be so challenging. Getting someone to listen to your demo tape if you're a singer or performer in any way, just getting that first little bit of a kernel. If you go back all the way, even Madonna, she slept her way until someone played her demo tape. Good for her. You do what you can. Mm-hmm. But you know what? If you can get any kind of edge, I think good for you. Fair enough. But you better have the talent to back it up.
And that's what I was going to ask you next was, do you think, because I feel like, and I, we've said it, Northwest sucks. She was not very good. However, it's not her fault. She's 10 years old. She was put on this stage. Of course she's going to say yes. And she was probably hyped up by all the people around her to believe that she was going to be amazing. So I'm not trying to pick on Northwest when I say this, but do you think the reason people are so pissed off about her case in particular is because she is talentless?
No, I think it's because she's a Kardashian. Definitely. I think she's talentless and a Kardashian. And, they are the family that people love to hate. I don't know if recently you saw Kim Kardashian do the big Tom Brady roast. Apparently, when she came out to do her big roast of Tom Brady, the audience booed for a good 6 minutes. And then when they replayed it, they cut the boos out. They said, oh, this is just way too mean. So the reaction of a coliseum full of people towards Kim and they boo for 6 minutes, I think, she might play well to her demo, but anywhere out of that, I don't think it really plays. So I think we are going to see a big turning of the tides with the Kardashian. And I think, I honestly think Northwest might want to buy a food truck and sell tacos.
Why tacos?
I don't know. That's just the kind of food I would buy at a food truck. I don't know. Maybe she should, get her real estate license, and then maybe she could be on $1 Million Listing. Just do something where you don't have to sing or have a personality. Oh my God, I'm so mean. I'm sorry. I should not have said that. You got me fired up. Don't you even start, Sacha.
Okay.
You're like, oh, you're clutching. If you could see her, she's clutching her chest. Oh no, my pearls. No, I would never. Oh, come on. Come on.
Hey, I'm not blaming this on me. Richard.
Okay, all right. I'm living to be canceled, so there you go.
Well, maybe you will be. No, it has been so much fun chatting with you. As I said, you have such a unique and in-depth understanding of this, so who better to talk to? Thank you so much for your time.
Well, I've been around like a big old record. Remember records? Anyway, thank you so much.
That was my very fun chat with entertainment reporter Richard Reid. And that is all for this morning's episode of The Briefing. Thanks so much for listening. A reminder, we put out lots of video content on social media. Check us out on Instagram at The Briefing Podcast. We're also on YouTube and TikTok. Search Listener Newsroom. I'm Sacha Barbour Gatt. We'll see you next time.
Listener.